Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into a wealth of information to unearth those surprising insights you need to navigate our complex world. Today, we're exploring a dream that resonates with so many of us: entrepreneurship. That vision of creating something impactful, building a legacy, maybe even, making it big. We often imagine it's all about a single brilliant idea and just relentless hard work. But is there maybe a deeper, more strategic blueprint at play, a hidden game perhaps, that separates those who genuinely succeed from those who just, stay busy?
That's precisely what we're digging into today. We're taking a deep dive into the real mechanics of entrepreneurial success. We'll explore everything from, the foundational mindsets that really set you up for victory to the tactical growth strategies that actually scale a business and, crucially, how to navigate those inevitable challenges and setbacks. Because they really define the entrepreneurial journey, don't they?
And we have such a compelling stack of sources for you today, really fascinating stuff. We've got incisive business growth frameworks from, industry titans, deep insights into resilience and learning from failure, which is huge, a really sharp distinction between mere grind and what they call true hustle, and an incredible real-world journey from a modern media mogul who built an empire pretty much from scratch. It's quite a rich tapestry.
Yeah, it really is. And our mission today is clear. We want to distill the most actionable nuggets of knowledge from all these diverse sources. We want to equip you with powerful insights that you can apply directly to your own ventures, whether they're just an idea taking shape or maybe a growing enterprise. Ultimately, it's about helping you transform potential pitfalls into powerful stepping stones. Ready to jump in?
Absolutely. Okay, let's unpack this. Many of us, and I include myself here sometimes, we tend to think that success in business is purely external. We focus on market conditions or the brilliance of a product, maybe impeccable timing, but our sources immediately point to something much deeper, something foundational that comes before literally anything else, the immense power of your inner game.
That's such a crucial distinction. Alex Hormozi, his name is pretty much synonymous with building and scaling businesses rapidly. He emphatically places mindset as the very first, the most critical step on that path to success. He argues it's not just about what you do, but profoundly how you think, how you perceive the world around you. For so many small to medium business owners, the core challenges they face aren't just those external hurdles like trying to scale operations or managing unpredictable cash flow or trying to stand out in a crowded market. Important, yes, but maybe not the core issue. In fact, Hormozi contends that the most significant obstacles are often internal. Things like that paralyzing fear of failure that just stops you in your tracks, or inherent resistance to change that stifles innovation. Maybe even just a simple lack of a clear guiding vision that leaves you feeling adrift. These internal battles, if you don't address them, they can genuinely stymie growth before it even has a chance to begin. It's like self-sabotage almost.
Okay, so if these internal battles are so fundamental, so critical, how does Hormozi suggest we actually tackle them? How do we reshape this inner game to set ourselves up for real success?
Well, he advocates for a pretty fundamental shift in mindset, a real change. It starts with adopting a bold, almost audacious vision for your venture, something that extends far beyond just the immediate profits, right? And pairing that with a relentless, unwavering pursuit of excellence in everything you do. This involves cultivating what's widely known as a growth mindset. You've probably heard of it. In this perspective, intelligence, talent, capabilities, they aren't viewed as fixed, unchangeable traits that you're either born with or not. Instead, they are seen as entirely developable through sustained effort, continuous learning, persistent dedication. And that stands in stark contrast to a fixed mindset, which can trap you. It traps you in the belief that your abilities are just set in stone, which then leads to a profound fear of challenges or reluctance to step outside your comfort zone. And crucially, a tendency to avoid learning from mistakes because, they just prove you're not good enough. It's really the difference between believing I'm not good at this versus I'm not good at this yet. Big difference.
That reframing sounds incredibly powerful. So if you've genuinely embraced this growth mindset, does that mean failures? Well, they aren't dead ends anymore. They become something else entirely.
Exactly. They're fundamentally reframed. They become crucial learning opportunities, data points, really. The source titled Failing Forward echoes this powerful sentiment, and it highlights specific, actionable strategies for actively developing and embedding a growth mindset in your entrepreneurial journey. These include things like intentionally stepping outside your comfort zone.
No?
Maybe by taking on a project you feel slightly underqualified for, or pitching an idea that frankly scares you. It's about deliberately challenging yourself with new experiences, not just playing it safe where you know you'll succeed. Another strategy is focusing not just on the ultimate outcome, the win, but deeply appreciating and learning from the entire journey itself. Celebrating small milestones, the effort put in, regardless of the immediate result.
The process.
Yes, the process. And critically, it involves actively seeking knowledge and wisdom from mentors and established role models. This means not just admiring them from afar, but proactively reaching out, asking specific questions, really studying their paths, the successes and the failures. It's about seeing every setback as a classroom, not a coffin for your ambitions, and extracting those valuable data points from every single misstep.
And we actually have a fascinating real-world example of this mindset in action. It's from Steven Bartlett, the founder of Social Chain and, of course, the incredibly popular podcast, Diary of a CEO. Yeah. He described his motivation, particularly in his early, really tough days, as having a necessary delusion, or maybe self-belief. He said, and I quote, he didn't think there was anything between where I am now and where I wanted to be. Now, that wasn't just simple optimism. It sounds like it was a deep, almost unshakable conviction that his desired future was inevitable, provided he just kept pushing.
Absolutely. And that conviction, that almost radical self-belief, it enabled him to view even the most dire challenges through an incredibly positive, transformative lens. Bartlett specifically recounted, documenting his bailiff letters and opening an empty fridge. Not with despair or feeling like a victim, but with the distinct mindset that it was an interesting story he would tell one day on a big stage.
Wow.
That speaks volumes about his psychological resilience, his ability to reframe adversity. He firmly believes you can make heaven out of hell, or hell out of heaven, depending on how you think about a situation.
Yeah.
Which emphasizes the profound power of perspective, of your internal narrative. His favorite quote he shared is, "Those that think they can and those that think they can't are both usually right."
Power.
It really is. He sees belief itself as the escape velocity of any hell or prison. This just vividly illustrates the profound impact a cultivated mindset has on not just navigating adversity, but actually leveraging it for future success. It's about consciously choosing the story you tell yourself, especially when external circumstances are, frankly, screaming the opposite.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because once you've cultivated that foundational mindset, the raw, unvarnished reality of entrepreneurship usually hits you square in the face. Failure. And our sources are unequivocally clear on this: failure isn't an option, it's pretty much a guarantee.
Indeed. The article Failing Forward puts it very plainly. Setbacks and failures are an inevitable part of the entrepreneurial journey, full stop. It's not a question of if they will happen, but when and, crucially, how you respond. The source even cites some sobering statistics from a Kauffman Foundation report, noting that many startups, a really significant number, fail within their very first year, and only about 50% manage to survive beyond 5 years.
Wow, only half.
Only half. Now, these aren't statistics meant to discourage you if you're thinking about starting something. Quite the opposite, actually. They serve as a powerful reality check. They underscore the absolute importance of perseverance, adaptability, and an unyielding commitment in the face of challenges. They highlight that success is often built on a foundation of numerous attempts that didn't go as planned, and each misstep provides that crucial feedback we talked about.
And what's truly compelling is that even the biggest, most iconic names in business, the ones we now look to as paragons of success, they stumbled, often spectacularly, early in their journeys. It's not just a small business problem, is it?
Absolutely not. Think about the giants whose names are now household words. Apple's initial launch of the Macintosh computer. Despite its revolutionary interface, it was met with a pretty lukewarm, almost disappointing reception. High price, limited software. It nearly sank the company.
I remember that, yeah.
And Starbucks, the coffee giant we see everywhere. They were on the brink of bankruptcy in the late 1980s. It forced Howard Schultz to raise millions just to save it, narrowly avoiding collapse. And FedEx founder Fred Smith, he famously recounted how he had to secure a last-minute loan from his own father, just $5,000, to keep the company from going under after struggling to raise capital and just bleeding money in its early days.
Incredible stories.
Their eventual monumental success wasn't because they somehow managed to avoid failure or because they had a perfect plan from day one. No way. It was precisely because they embraced those failures, learned critical lessons from their mistakes, and then adapted their strategies with remarkable agility and unwavering persistence. This, fundamentally, is the essence of failing forward, using each misstep as a launchpad for future improvement, extracting valuable data from what went wrong, and iterating, constantly iterating.
So it's not just about having a growth mindset in theory, but how do you actively, systematically cultivate this failing forward approach in practice, especially when the stakes feel so high?
Right. Beyond the general growth mindset, which is definitely the prerequisite, actively failing forward involves a very deliberate, almost scientific process of learning from your mistakes. This requires honest, often uncomfortable self-reflection after a setback. You have to face it. It means conducting a rigorous post-mortem for every significant failure or misstep. Asking yourself those penetrating questions like, okay, what were the key factors that genuinely contributed to this outcome, both internal and external? Could I have done anything differently in that situation looking back now with perfect hindsight? And maybe, most importantly, what concrete lessons can I actually extract from this experience to improve my approach, my strategy, or maybe my core assumptions moving forward? By critically analyzing these missteps, much like a scientist analyzes an experiment that didn't work, you can pinpoint areas for improvement, develop more effective strategies, and hopefully avoid similar pitfalls in the future. It really transforms a simple error into invaluable data.
That analytical approach seems absolutely crucial. Takes the emotion out a bit. But what about the emotional toll? Entrepreneurship is deeply personal, right?
Oh.
Failure can hit hard, leading to burnout or just giving up entirely.
That's a vital point, and that's precisely where building resilience becomes paramount. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's the capacity to actually grow stronger through the inevitable shocks and disappointments that define the entrepreneurial path.
Growing stronger through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our sources suggest several practical strategies for building this kind of mental and emotional fortitude. These include consciously surrounding yourself with positive and supportive people, a robust network, mentors, fellow entrepreneurs, personal cheerleaders, people who uplift you but also provide objective feedback. It's also about actively maintaining a positive attitude, even when things are tough, which, ties right back to that growth mindset. This doesn't mean ignoring reality, of course, but choosing to focus on solutions and progress. Consistently focusing on your long-term overarching goals helps keep perspective. It reminds you why you started and what you're ultimately building, so immediate setbacks don't feel catastrophic.
Keep the eye on the prize.
Exactly. And importantly, making sure to celebrate the small wins along the way. Don't forget those. These small victories provide crucial boosts of momentum and morale, reminding you that progress is being made, even if it feels slow. Ultimately, the road to success, as one source beautifully puts it, is paved with lessons learned. It's not paved around obstacles, but built through them.
Okay, so everyone talks about working hard, burning the midnight oil, pulling all-nighters. But our sources introduce a really crucial distinction, one that often separates those who genuinely succeed from those who just, stay busy, perpetually running on that hamster wheel. We're talking about the profound difference between what's often called grind and what's identified as hustle.
Yes. The Forbes article, Grind versus Hustle, frames this distinction around that invaluable, almost cliche mantra, work smarter, not harder. Now, it acknowledges that an impeccable work ethic is absolutely inescapable. You can't get around it. You look at legends across fields like Jay-Z, building a music and business empire from nothing. Or Michael Jordan, whose relentless training ethic is legendary. You simply must put in the work.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. However, the critical differentiator, the article posits, is the specific frame of mind a person has while training and putting in the work. This mindset dictates the ultimate outcome and the effectiveness of your effort. It's not just about the hours you put in, but the intent behind those hours. What are you actually trying to achieve with that effort?
So what's the core difference then between a grinder and a hustler? How do their actions actually diverge?
Well, a grinder works tirelessly, often to the point of exhaustion, yet frequently sees little meaningful return on their immense effort. Sound familiar? Their sense of fulfillment, ironically, often comes from the sheer chaos of being busy. The act of juggling multiple tasks or simply moving at a relentlessly fast pace feels like progress. They believe that if they just work harder, opportunities will magically appear. They desperately seek out opportunity, and when a slot opens, they jump in without hesitation. Primarily for the purpose of proving their worth to others, or just to be seen as working hard. It's often reactive, lacks a clear strategic purpose beyond just doing stuff.
Okay, and a hustler. How do they operate differently, given that they also work incredibly hard?
A hustler, by contrast, is someone who makes the right moves. They master the art of positioning themselves and their ventures strategically. Every single effort they expend is calculated to reap a valuable return on investment. It's deliberate.
ROI on effort.
Exactly. Instead of just chasing any opportunity to prove themselves, hustlers pull their focused effort into existing opportunities, leveraging them to build purposefully on their already clear vision. They understand their time and energy are finite and extremely valuable resources. More than that, they actively create additional opportunities from the value they already know they possess. They expand their own playing field. They respect the process. They understand the game at a deeper level, recognizing the chess moves involved, not just pushing pieces forward. Whereas grinders, the article notes, often hate because they don't understand how to similarly master the game. They might feel resentful that others achieve more with seemingly less chaotic effort.
So it really boils down to strategic action versus just sheer brute force effort. It's not about how much you do, but how intelligently you apply that effort and with what underlying purpose. Is that fair?
Precisely. The article emphasizes that hustlers and grinders often possess equal skill level, connections, and muscle, but their movements are different. They might have access to the same resources, but their application of those resources is fundamentally distinct, where they choose to put their energy. The key, then, is to graduate from the grind and continue to refine your hustle. It's a learning process.
Graduate from the grind. I like that.
Yeah. This means actively seeking advisement and guidance from mentors who are themselves hustlers, people who can truly teach you proper planning, positioning, and what moves are really worth making. Not just busy work. These mentors don't just tell you what to do, but how to think strategically about the game. And for a quick self-assessment, the article suggests a simple yet penetrating test. The next time someone claims they're on the grind, just ask them, so what do you have to show for the work?
Ooh, direct.
Direct. That question, it implies, will very quickly cut through the superficial busyness to reveal true impact, or perhaps the lack thereof.
Okay, this is great. So you've established the right mindset, you're embracing failure as feedback, and you're hustling smart, not just grinding away. What are the concrete actions then? The strategic steps that can truly take a business, let's say, from 0 to 7 figures. Our sources outline a powerful, practical framework for this kind of growth.
Yeah, this powerful blueprint comes directly from Alex Hormozi's framework for achieving rapid business success. And he emphasizes intensely practical, actionable strategies for growth, moving beyond just theoretical concepts. One of the key areas he identifies is streamlining operations. Now, this isn't just about the mundane task of cutting costs, though that can definitely be a byproduct. It's about a holistic optimization of all your core business processes. The goal is to not only enhance productivity and efficiency, but critically to elevate customer satisfaction at the same time. Think about, say, a small e-commerce brand that consistently loses customers because of slow order fulfillment.
Right, happens all the time.
Yeah. By investing in better logistics software, or maybe just optimizing their warehouse layout, they streamline operations, reduce shipping times, and then they see a dramatic increase in repeat customer purchases and positive reviews. It's all connected. It's about achieving efficiency at its very best, ensuring that smooth, effective flow throughout your entire business machine.
Okay, makes sense. And on the customer side of things, how does Hormozi suggest businesses engage with them for sustained growth and profitability? It can't just be about operations.
No, absolutely not. At the absolute heart of Hormozi's success formula is the concept of customer value optimization, or CVO. This is a strategic approach designed to maximize the total value each individual customer brings to your business over their entire lifespan as a customer, not just the first sale.
The whole relationship.
The whole relationship. The focus here extends far beyond just securing immediate one-off sales. It's about cultivating long-term loyalty, encouraging repeat business, and inspiring enthusiastic referrals. Turning customers into fans. For example, maybe a subscription box service acquires a customer at a low initial profit margin. That's okay, but through personalized product recommendations, exclusive content, maybe an effortless cancellation policy that builds trust, they maximize the customer's lifetime value through multiple renewals and crucial word-of-mouth referrals. It's about consistently exceeding customer expectations at every single touchpoint, which in turn significantly boosts your overall profitability and expands your market share over time, far beyond that initial transaction. It's a long game.
Okay, so once you understand that customer value, that long-term view, how do you actually get customers to engage, to connect with you, and ultimately to take action on what you're offering?
That's achieved through enhancing customer engagement. And this requires developing a deep, really nuanced understanding of your target demographics, their pain points, their aspirations, their preferred communication channels, where do they actually hang out. With that knowledge, you can then implement highly personalized communications, not generic stuff, foster genuine community involvement through forums or social groups, perhaps, and deploy innovative marketing tactics that truly resonate with your audience, not just any audience. Think of maybe a local fitness studio that creates a private online group just for its members, offering bonus workouts, nutrition tips, celebrating individual achievements. That builds deep loyalty and a real sense of belonging.
Yeah, community is powerful.
Hugely powerful. And this ties directly into another critical Hormozi principle, creating compelling offers. He emphasizes that these offers must be truly irresistible. They have to go far beyond just simple discounting, which can devalue your brand. They demand a strategic approach to adding significant perceived value. Think about bundled services that solve multiple problems at once, or robust loyalty programs that reward continued engagement, or maybe limited time bonuses that skillfully create urgency and drive high conversion rates by making the offer seem just too good to pass up right now.
And in today's interconnected world, this must inevitably involve a very strong and optimized online presence. And it's no longer just about having a website, right? It's much more complex.
Absolutely not. Optimizing digital presence is no longer optional. It's an indispensable pillar of growth, especially if you're aiming for that kind of scale, like 0 to 7 figures. This means meticulously focusing on SEO best practices. You need to be discoverable by your target audience when they search for solutions online. Exactly. It means ensuring your platforms are mobile optimized for today's smartphone-first user. Seems obvious, but many still get it wrong. And effectively leveraging social media, the right social media, to engage with and expand to broader audiences. Many businesses, even now, still significantly underutilize these incredibly powerful digital tools. They often treat them as an afterthought rather than a core strategic asset. Consider a small artisanal food business that uses really high-quality photos on Instagram, relevant hashtags, and engages directly with comments to build a loyal following and drive traffic to their online store. That's digital presence optimized for engagement and sales. It works.
Okay, and perhaps the most critical question for any business, really, regardless of scale. How do you know if all these strategies are actually working? How do you measure their real impact and ensure you're not just, throwing money and effort down the drain?
That brings us to the final strategic pillar in this framework, metrics and analytics. The numbers. This involves rigorously tracking not just the obvious indicators like sales and revenue, important but not the whole story, but also diving deep into customer behavior. How do they interact with your website? What's their journey through your sales funnel? What are the engagement levels across various platforms? And what's the precise effectiveness of your marketing campaigns? Which ones are actually driving results?
Any granular.
Very granular. It's about more than just collecting data, though. It's about skillfully interpreting that data, identifying patterns, trends, drawing informed conclusions, and this is key, using those insights to continuously refine your strategies and maximize your return on investment. For instance, a software company might track user engagement time, feature adoption rates, and churn rates, not just subscription numbers.
Right, the why behind the numbers.
Exactly. This data helps them identify which features are most valuable, where users might be dropping off, and how to improve both the product and the marketing. Hormozi maintains that these principles are immensely practical and actionable, forming a comprehensive blueprint for scaling, essentially by making every decision as data-driven as possible.
Okay, with all this talk of strategies, frameworks, and exponential growth, it's incredibly easy to focus solely on the outward appearance of success, isn't it?
Yeah.
We see the gleaming accolades, the impressive titles, the public triumphs, those perfectly curated social media feeds. But our sources reveal a profound truth. What we show the world can often hide a much more complex and sometimes quite painful inner reality.
This is such a powerful point highlighted in the source, The Facade of Success. It describes, for example, a high-powered executive who stepped onto a stage projecting absolute confidence, perfectly dressed, delivering a polished presentation, looks amazing, yet beneath that meticulously crafted image, they may be secretly battling intense anxiety, relentless self-doubt, or even a profound sense of emptiness, despite all their achievements. Society, unfortunately, often teaches us that external achievement directly equates to internal happiness and fulfillment. It's a dangerous equation. This ingrained pressure often leads us to wear a mask, carefully curating a meticulously crafted image of accomplishment for public consumption. While shielding our true struggles, our fears, our imperfections from view, it's a performance we feel compelled to maintain.
So these validation trophies, the corner office, the picture-perfect family, those straight A's in school, the big acquisition, they can actually become a heavy burden.
Yeah.
rather than a genuine source of fulfillment.
They absolutely can. The facade is primarily constructed as a defense mechanism, right? Designed to protect us from the profound fear of judgment, from the terror of falling short of impossible standards, or from the perceived humiliation of being exposed as ordinary, or even worse, a failure. Deep down, many people who project outward success secretly harbor imposter syndrome.
Yes, imposter syndrome.
That pervasive belief that they don't truly deserve their achievements and that at any moment they will inevitably be discovered as frauds, that they're just moments away from being unmasked. It's a constant, exhausting internal performance driven by this deep-seated fear of inadequacy.
What's the real hidden cost of living behind this kind of mask? Constantly striving to maintain an illusion of effortless perfection for the world, even if it feels like a lie to yourself.
Well, this relentless focus on external validation and the profound fear of undermining it tragically fosters what the source calls a culture of silence around the inevitable struggles that are just part of being human.
A culture of silence.
Yeah. Entrepreneurs, often expected to be relentlessly positive and resilient, can feel particular pressure to conform to this ideal. Beneath that polished image, there are often complex mental health challenges, anxieties, personal sacrifices that are kept hidden, which makes it so much harder to seek help when you need it. The constant fear of making mistakes, the relentless, exhausting pursuit of perfection, and the ever-present threat of failure. It can leave us feeling perpetually on edge, preventing us from truly relaxing and being present in our own lives, even when we should be celebrating. And here's the crucial point. When your identity hinges solely on achievement, one significant setback, one missed target, one negative review, one failed venture can literally shatter that entire illusion, leading to profound feelings of worthlessness and inadequacy. This fuels a harsh inner critic that constantly compares you to others and relentlessly highlights perceived shortcomings, even when you've achieved great things, leaving you feeling perpetually insufficient. It's a tough cycle. So if this is the profound cost, how do we break free? How do we escape this cycle and embrace a more authentic, sustainable path to well-being and genuine success? One that isn't predicated on, well, a lie.
The article offers several really actionable steps to embrace your whole self and dismantle this facade. First, challenge the inner critic. Actively question those negative, self-defeating thoughts that tell you you're not good enough. Don't just accept them. Practice self-compassion. Try speaking to yourself with the same understanding and kindness you'd offer a dear friend who is struggling.
Be kind to yourself.
Exactly. Second, embrace vulnerability as strength. Recognize that sharing your fears and imperfections, even small ones, actually requires immense courage. Paradoxically, it fosters deeper, more authentic connections with others because people often relate more to our struggles than our perfect triumphs, and it leads to greater self-acceptance. Third, redefine failure. Shift your perspective to view setbacks not as something to be avoided at all costs, but as essential opportunities for learning and growth. Reframe them as those stepping stones on your unique path. The learning opportunities again.
Always back to learning. Fourth, practice self-reflection. Regularly journal or engage in quiet contemplation to identify your core values. Ask yourself, what really matters to me? And then ensure your actions truly align with those values rather than just external expectations. And finally, seek support. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your whole self, including your struggles and imperfections. Find your tribe. And consider professional therapy or coaching as powerful, objective tools for self-discovery and navigating these complex internal landscapes. They offer a safe space to be truly seen. Ultimately, the goal is to shed that facade of effortless perfection and discover your true purpose, untethered from the expectations of others.
All right, we've covered mindset, strategy, even the unseen psychological burdens of achievement. Really important stuff. But now, let's pivot to the concrete traps. The common mistakes new entrepreneurs often fall into that can derail even the best intentions and the most brilliant ideas. Our sources lay out clear warnings, almost a roadmap of pitfalls to avoid. Lessons hard won by others, right?
Absolutely. The article, Top 10 Mistakes New Entrepreneurs Make, provides an invaluable guide to these common missteps. It's almost like a checklist of what not to do. The very first one, and perhaps the most fundamental, is a lack of clear vision and planning. So many new businesses, sadly, start without a precise mission, a well-defined vision for the future, or a concrete, well-articulated plan. They just jump in.
Just an idea and enthusiasm.
Yeah, and while enthusiasm is great, this absence of clear direction inevitably leads to poor resource management, wasted time, money, effort, and significantly increases the likelihood of failure. To avoid this, you must establish a clear and precise mission and vision statement. Where are you going? Set achievable, measurable objectives. How will you know when you get there? Conduct thorough market research to understand your potential customers, your competitors, the broader economic environment. Know the landscape. And prepare a comprehensive business plan with detailed financial forecasts. It forces clarity. Consulting resources like Entrepreneur Ideas magazine, seeking guidance from business mentorship programs. These are strongly suggested to refine this foundational step. Without a map, you're just wandering, basically.
So knowing your ultimate destination and having a detailed map of how you'll get there, that's paramount from day one. It sounds like skipping that upfront work is a common and often fatal shortcut people take.
Exactly. And this leads directly into the second common mistake: insufficient market research. Failing to deeply understand your market, your potential customers, your competitors, it means your product or service, no matter how brilliant you think it is, may simply not attract attention. Or worse, it might not solve a real problem for the people it's intended for.
The solution looking for a problem.
Precisely, the consequence. A fantastic solution to a non-existent problem or one people don't care about solving. To avoid this, ensure you have well-funded working capital after launch, not just for launch. Proactively conduct surveys, interviews, focus groups with your target audience to gather direct feedback. Talk to potential customers. Research successful social entrepreneurship stories for inspiration on how they identified and met deep market needs. And critically, design your products and services specifically to meet the clearly identified needs and preferences of your target customers, rather than what you think they need. Check your assumptions.
And what about the money side of things? That seems to trip up so many promising ventures. Running out of cash.
Oh, it's a huge one. The third major pitfall: inadequate funding and financial mismanagement. Extremely common. Underestimating the capital needed to both launch and sustain a business, or engaging in poor financial reporting and tracking. It can quickly deplete your funds, and that leads to dire consequences, forcing even potentially viable businesses to close their doors.
The dreaded running out of runway.
Exactly that. Entrepreneurs need to establish achievable financial estimates. Be realistic, maybe even a bit pessimistic. Factor in significant contingencies for the unexpected, because something always goes wrong, doesn't it?
Always.
And thoroughly understand your funding options. Is it venture capital? Angel financing? Crowdfunding? Traditional loans? Know the pros and cons. And just as important as securing the funds is constantly checking your financial plans, monitoring your burn rate, ensuring you remain on track, and making adjustments as needed. Vigilance is key. Many a great idea has died simply from poor financial planning.
Right. Even the most innovative product, perfectly funded, still needs to be seen and desired by the market. If people don't know it exists, it's basically invisible.
That's spot on, and it's the fourth mistake: overlooking the importance of marketing. The best products or services can go completely unnoticed without a solid strategic marketing plan. It's not just build it and they will come.
It rarely works that way.
Almost never. This isn't just about a flashy launch either. It's about sustained visibility and connection. To avoid this, you must build a robust long-term strategy. Think about internet marketing, strong website content, active social media promotion where your audience actually spends their time, valuable content marketing blogs, videos, podcasts that provide real value, not just sales pitches, and strategic public relations to help tell your story authentically. Utilizing reputable media like Entrepreneur magazine for exposure, investing wisely in SEO so people can find you via search, leveraging email marketing to build those crucial direct relationships, collaborating with the right influencers. These are all pieces of the puzzle. Marketing is never a one-off task. It's an ongoing, adjustable process that demands continuous monitoring and refinement based on what's working and how the market is evolving.
And for those entrepreneurs who try to do it all themselves, believing they're the only ones who can truly execute their vision perfectly, that sounds like a recipe for burnout and just stagnation.
Absolutely, and that's where neglecting business mentorship and coaching comes in as the fifth mistake. So many entrepreneurs, especially new ones, fail to seek the invaluable advice and guidance from experienced professionals, people who have already navigated similar challenges, made the mistakes.
Thinking they don't need help.
Or maybe afraid to ask. The consequence is often reinventing the wheel, making easily avoidable mistakes, and operating with significant blind spots because you're too close to it. The solution is to actively seek out mentoring services, find business coaches specifically tailored for entrepreneurs, and join relevant business groups and events to build a strong support network. You need people in your corner. These connections provide critical insights, emotional support, practical recommendations. They can help navigate current problems, avoid future pitfalls, and unlock potential opportunities you might not see yourself. It's like having a seasoned guide on a really treacherous climb. Why wouldn't you want that?
Makes total sense. And once you start to grow and need to bring people into your team, those hiring decisions can either build you up or, well, tear you down pretty quickly.
Indeed. The sixth pitfall is poor hiring decisions. This is a significant risk, especially for a new organization that scales too quickly or just brings on the wrong people in the rush. Bad hires can lead to a whole cascade of negative outcomes. Low team morale, disorganization, reduced production rates, high turnover during probation, even a toxic work culture.
Yeah, one bad apple
Can spoil the bunch, absolutely. The advice is to take your time with the personnel selection process. Don't rush it. Establish clear roles and responsibilities beforehand. What does success look like in this role? And value cultural compatibility just as highly as competencies and qualifications. Will they fit the team? Conduct thorough interviews, create practical assessments, maybe implement trial periods to ensure candidates truly align with our organizational vision and values. Learning from successful women entrepreneurs' hiring strategies, which often emphasize empathy and emotional intelligence, is also suggested as a valuable approach. Remember, your team is your business, especially early on.
Okay, what about staying responsive? Responsive to the ever-changing market and your actual customer base. It seems easy to get so focused on your product that you kind of forget who it's actually for.
That's the seventh mistake. Ignoring customer feedback. This is a major error that can fundamentally disconnect a business from evolving market demands. It almost guarantees customer loss and eventually product irrelevance. If you're not listening, you're basically flying blind.
I'm probably losing customers.
Definitely losing customers. To avoid this, proactively gather customer feedback through various channels. Direct conversations, structured questionnaires, online ratings, reviews, wherever your customers are talking.
Then, and this is crucial, leverage these insights. Don't just collect the data. Use it to continuously upgrade your products, your services, the overall customer experience. And most importantly, announce these changes to your customer base. Show them you've listened and acted on their input. That fosters incredible loyalty and a sense of shared progress. They feel heard. And the common temptation, especially when things start going well, to expand too quickly, to try and do too many things at once, diluting your focus.
Yes, the shiny object syndrome. That's the eighth mistake. Lack of focus and overextension. New entrepreneurs frequently bite off more than they can chew, especially when success starts hitting. They attempt to pursue too many opportunities simultaneously, losing sight of their core competencies and their original operational goals.
Spreading themselves too thin.
Exactly. This leads to diluted effort and often mediocre results across the board instead of excellence in one area. To circumvent this, you must prioritize the most important tasks for your core business. Remember, the 80-20 rule: identify the 20% of activities that yield 80% of the results. Focus there. Learn to delegate non-core tasks or hire external professionals in specialized companies for specific work that isn't central to your mission. Continuously refine your raison d'etre, your fundamental reason for being. Why does this business exist? And learn the power of saying no. Say no to even seemingly awesome ideas if they don't directly align with your core purpose. Strategic discipline is vital for concentrated impact.
So while focus is key, avoiding stagnation and being open to radical change, even pivoting the whole business, is also vital, right? It's a balance.
Precisely. The ninth mistake is failure to adapt and innovate. Being overly committed to an initial business model or a specific set of offerings, especially in the early stages, can be detrimental in a rapidly changing market.
Holding on too tight.
Holding on too tight. Entrepreneurs must be willing to tweak, adapt, and sometimes even flip the script entirely when circumstances or data demand it. Ego can't get in the way. This requires constantly monitoring market updates, technological advancements, evolving customer needs, staying curious. It also means fostering an environment of creativity and invention among your colleagues. Encourage them to find new solutions to problems and challenge the status quo. Make it safe to innovate. Looking at social entrepreneurship, examples can provide excellent insights on how other firms have successfully adapted their models to changing social or economic landscapes. They're often masters of adaptation.
Finally, it seems like it all comes back to the quality of leadership at the helm. A great idea can fail with poor leadership, while maybe even an average idea can thrive with strong guidance. Is that fair?
Absolutely. The 10th and final mistake highlighted is inadequate leadership and management skills. Entrepreneurial leadership is absolutely vital. It's fundamental. Deficits in a leader's capabilities directly lead to organizational deficits. Things like ineffective decision-making, low employee morale, high turnover, and ultimately overall organizational malfunctioning. The fish rots from the head, as they say. The remedy for this is continuous education. Leaders need to keep learning, attending courses, workshops, reading relevant literature on leadership and management, consulting with leadership mentors, practicing active listening to truly hear your team, not just wait to talk, developing tactful expression for ideas and feedback, and actively encouraging employee engagement and ownership. Make people feel valued. By diligently steering clear of these 10 common mistakes, recognizing them early, actively working to overcome them, the success rate of new entrepreneurial ventures can dramatically increase. It's about transforming those potential failures into genuine, sustainable growth.
Okay, now let's bring all these concepts together, really bring them to life. Let's weave them into the incredible, real-world story of Steven Bartlett. His journey from a college dropout to building this huge podcast empire truly embodies so many of the principles we've just discussed, from mindset to strategy to embracing failure. It's quite a case study.
It really is. Bartlett's entrepreneurial path began remarkably early, and it was infused with this raw hunger. He was born in Botswana, later moved to Plymouth in the UK. As a child, he struggled with money, even though he lived in a middle-class area. That contrast seemed to fuel him. He found his orientation towards business very young. He even tells stories about selling massages for paper money he'd cut from his dad's printer paper just to get the money back from his brothers. A clear early sign of that innate drive, right?
Definitely. A born negotiator, maybe?
Perhaps. School, however, was a different story. He struggled immensely to pay attention in a traditional academic setting, spent a lot of time in exclusion, was even formally expelled. Interestingly, he was then unexpelled, as his headmaster put it, because his nascent business ventures, like securing vending machine deals for the school, actually brought money into the school.
Wow, so his business skills got him back in.
Exactly. Speaks volumes about his early unconventional impact. He ultimately dropped out of university after just one lecture, recognizing immediately that the traditional academic path just wasn't for him. He felt he needed to build, not just study.
So his formal education clearly didn't dictate his trajectory at all. He truly started young, charting his own unique course, driven by something deeply internal.
Yes, his first official business, Wallpark, started when he was just 18. It was essentially a social network for university students, like a digital notice board. He ran it for about 2 years until he discovered the immense, largely untapped power of social media for driving traffic and building audiences. A light bulb moment. He then abruptly left Wallpark at 20. He mentioned feeling a bit of startup PTSD from the experience, having realized that simply building a product wasn't enough. You needed attention, you needed eyeballs. He then immersed himself completely in this new attention economy. Then, at just 21, he launched Social Chain. Despite his initial hesitation, that startup PTSD from Wallpark, he rapidly built it into a global digital marketing empire. Offices in London, Manchester, Berlin, New York. Massive scale.
Incredible growth.
Phenomenal growth. He remained at the helm until 2020, age 27, when he made the incredibly courageous and frankly rare decision to resign. He explained that he felt he had lost control of the company after it merged and became a public entity. He lost the autonomy, the direct influence he cherished. It just wasn't his baby anymore, not in the way he wanted it to be.
That takes immense courage, doesn't it? To walk away from something you poured your life into, something you built from the ground up, especially when it's achieved such scale and public success. What was his driving motivation throughout this whole intense journey? Particularly through those incredibly hard times he talks about, the bailiff letters, the empty fridge.
He attributes his relentless drive to having no plan B, just a raw, almost desperate commitment to his vision, and as he put it, a healthy dose of delusion, which he also frequently refers to as self-belief, that necessary conviction.
That delusion again.
Yeah. He felt an acute desperation to live a free life, partly fueled by having what he considered bad grades compared to his highly academic brothers, and a subtle background murmur of shame from his childhood context of being the black kid and the poor kid in Plymouth. Those labels stuck. He saw success quite directly as the way to fill that hole, to gain validation, to escape those labels. Whether he was dragged or driven, he said, there was always enough energy, enough fuel to push him through the really hard stuff where people tell you no and you don't feel like you're making any progress at all. This highlights the deeply personal, almost visceral nature of his ambition. It connects perfectly back to our earlier discussion on internal motivators, the power of mindset.
This level of commitment, pushing through such adversity, it must have been fueled by a very specific, almost obsessive approach to building a business.
Yeah.
Especially with his hugely successful Diary of a CEO podcast now.
It absolutely was and still is. After leaving Social Chain, he asked himself that critical question: what would I genuinely do if money was no object? And the answer, maybe surprisingly for some, was his small side project, the Diary of a CEO podcast.
A passion project.
Exactly. He went all in, investing heavily in state-of-the-art equipment, building a dedicated team, even moving into a new studio site unseen, just knowing it would provide the right environment to elevate it. He highlights two core principles that underpin his success, particularly with the podcast.
Right.
First is 1%. He describes this as an obsession about the tiniest, almost imperceptible details that accumulate over time into a significant advantage, scrutinizing everything.
Marginal gains.
Precisely. And the second principle is failure. His job, he says, is to increase the rate of failure, meaning to exponentially increase the number of experiments they conduct. Faster feedback loops. He even has a full-time failure and experimentation team whose explicit job description is to make everybody fail faster.
Wow, a failure team.
Yeah, because he believes fundamentally that failure is feedback, feedback is knowledge, and knowledge is power. It's a relentless pursuit of learning through constant iterative testing.
This sounds like an incredibly hyper-iterative, data-driven approach, almost scientific in its rigor, which is perhaps unexpected for something creative like a podcast.
It is, intensely so. He calls it killing the guessing everywhere that we can, removing subjectivity. They employ data scientists. They meticulously measure every single metric imaginable, and they relentlessly A/B test everything, from the optimal length of a podcast trailer to the precise impact of using exclamation marks versus quotation marks in titles on platforms like Apple Podcasts, to finding the absolute best color for a thumbnail image to maximize clicks.
Really granular.
Incredibly granular. He cited a 1900% variance, that's 1900%, between the best and worst performing test of a podcast title for just one episode. That illustrates the profound impact these seemingly small details can have when scaled. They even use a pre-watch platform where 1,000 people watch a conversation with eye tracking technology to optimize the edits before publishing, effectively getting a YouTube retention graph before the video even goes live.
That's the next level.
It is. This allows them to adjust pacing, cut segments that cause audience drop-off, maximize engagement before anyone else sees it. Even minuscule details, like whether his hand is visible in a thumbnail, consistently improve performance and engagement according to their tests. He's also learned that the more specific something is, the more compelling it is. For example, citing 69.3% efficiency gain performs better than rounding up to 70%. Specificity builds trust.
Interesting psychological quirk.
Yeah, and that words themselves have expiration dates. They lose their emotional power over time, like the word revolutionary once did. Requires constant vigilance and evolution in language.
He's clearly built an empire, not just on great content, but very much on people and process. So, given his success as an operator, and now as an investor, what does he look for when he's investing in other founders? Drawing from his own experience and maybe insights from other legendary investors.
Bartlett shared several core qualities he looks for in his best founders, informed by his own journey and lessons from investors like Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank. First, deep expertise. Usually, he finds, they've experienced the problem firsthand. This gives them unparalleled insight and a unique empathy for the customer they're serving. They get it.
Lived experience.
Exactly. Second, passion. This he calls the activation energy required to overcome the myriad hurdles in business, combined with a certain level of delusion and insanity, that unshakable belief we discussed, and often a feeling of having no other choice but to solve the problem they've identified. It's almost a compulsion. Third, humility. He looks for founders who understand their initial hypothesis will likely be wrong, and crucially, how they deal with that reality gracefully, learning and pivoting without letting ego get in the way.
Coachability.
Very much so. Fourth, a strong bias towards optimism. A find a way, everything is figure-outable mindset that simply refuses to be defeated by obstacles. They just keep going. And as a crucial bonus quality, inspired by Barbara Corcoran, he looks for founders who are solution-oriented. His best founders, like Corcoran's, call him not just with a problem, but with a solution attached, demonstrating proactive problem solving. They own the solution.
Problem and solution together.
Yes. He also believes, anecdotally perhaps, that those who have been through hard things in their early life tend to be more solution-oriented, having learned to solve their own problems out of necessity and built that resilience muscle early on.
His insights also touch on much broader trends, don't they? Particularly the future of media and investing. He seems to be pointing towards some truly seismic shifts happening right now.
Yes, he sees a very strong, accelerating trend towards decentralization in media. The internet, he argues, has fundamentally democratized publishing. It's made everyone a potential publisher with a megaphone that can be scaled dramatically. He cites Mr. Beast getting billions of views using readily accessible tools as a prime example of this unprecedented democratization, completely bypassing traditional gatekeepers like TV networks or studios.
The creator economy.
Exactly. Bartlett believes the future of media is human-led, human-hosted IP with an ecosystem built around it. He points to creators like Alex Cooper, call her daddy, Andrew Huberman, Huberman Lab, or Mel Robbins, individuals who stand at the center of vast, interconnected content empires. They build direct, powerful relationships with their audiences. It's a shift from trusting institutions to trusting charismatic individuals as the central hubs of content and community.
And how does this decentralization and shift in media power affect the world of funding and investment? It sounds like it's really changing where smart money is going or should be going.
It's causing a major disruption, absolutely. In the investing world, the best founders are increasingly looking for something potentially more valuable than just money from traditional venture capital firms.
What's more valuable than money?
Growth and attention. They are turning to individuals who are themselves major creators, people like KSI, Alex Cooper, Joe Rogan, to be their investors. Precisely because these creators can provide something much more valuable than money, which is attention and direct access to large, engaged audiences. Instant distribution.
Built-in marketing.
Exactly. Bartlett's company Flight Story actually endeavors to bring these two worlds together, leveraging both capital and attention to scale human-centered IP and build engaged audiences around subjects that hopefully drive a healthier, happier humanity. It's a recognition that influence, not just capital, is the new currency for growth in many sectors.
And he's also looking to expand his own podcast, Diary of a CEO, far beyond traditional platforms, truly embracing this decentralization himself. It's fascinating to see him apply his own theories in practice.
That's a huge part of his strategy now. He is actively thinking about how to take a single, say, 3-hour conversation and present it in 40 different formats in 40 different environments, ensuring it exists in a truly decentralized manner, not reliant on any single platform.
Everywhere.
Pretty much everywhere. Diary of a CEO is now available on 12 different airlines, in UK prisons, on handheld devices, and in military facilities. Their audacious goal is to have the show available on gym equipment anywhere where there's a screen, making it truly ubiquitous, meeting people where they are. The strategic move is also linked directly to his observation of Facebook Zero, a phenomenon he's seen throughout his social media career where organic reach on platforms steadily decreases. He noted a staggering 50% loss yearly in organic reach for his past companies.
Wow, 50% a year.
Yeah. This makes building direct relationships with your audience via channels like newsletters, SMS, maybe even direct mail absolutely critical, because a social media CEO can always change the algorithm, make you pay to reach your own hard-won audience, effectively cutting off your organic reach. The future, he argues, is owning your audience relationship directly.
And perhaps the most provocative future gazing from Bartlett relates to the transformative and maybe slightly terrifying power of AI in his industry. He's not just observing it, he's actively driving it, isn't he?
He really is. His special projects team, Flight X, whose explicit job, remember, is to try and disrupt their main business, embodying that innovator's dilemma concept, disrupt yourself or be disrupted. They are actively building AI podcasts right now.
Yeah.
They've already launched a show using his voice, but it's entirely AI written, AI voiced, and AI published. And he mentioned, quite strikingly, that his girlfriend couldn't even tell the difference.
That's unsettling.
It is a bit unsettling. This AI-powered podcast apparently has a fantastic rating on Spotify already, 4.6 stars, and boasts an impressive 60% retention rate for hour-long episodes, even with a thumbnail that explicitly states "made by AI," indicating audience acceptance, or at least curiosity. He applies the innovator's dilemma concept directly here. New innovations always start out worse than the dominant ones. Think early cars compared to horses. Horses were clearly superior in their prime.
Right.
But the new innovation's rate of improvement is profoundly, often exponentially, higher. He argues that while it's scary, the choice for any entrepreneur is stark. You can either be hit by the bulldozer or you can drive the bulldozer.
Choose your side.
Yeah. His advice is to lean into bizarre behavior. Don't dismiss the weird stuff too quickly. And recognize that pessimism correlates to disruption, meaning if people are criticizing something fiercely, dismissing it as crazy or impossible, that's often a huge signal that it presents a massive opportunity for disruption and growth for those willing to embrace it.
Okay, as we circle back now to the core challenges of entrepreneurship, bringing it all together, there's a blunt, often painful truth that new founders inevitably face in those early, lonely days.
Yeah.
In the beginning, basically, nobody cares.
That's a crucial, sobering reality check highlighted by the Pushing Through When No One Cares article from Hacker News. It states unequivocally that, by default, nobody will care about your new thing. And perhaps even more importantly, nobody even knows about you or your new thing by default. You're invisible initially.
Harsh but true.
Harsh but true. This fundamentally underscores why marketing, advertising, pitching your venture, why they are king in the early stages. You can have the most revolutionary product, the most brilliant idea, but if you're not getting it in front of people, if you're not telling its story effectively, it simply doesn't exist to the world. The article advises that you should only cut bait, that is, give up on an idea, only if people clearly don't want what you're offering, and only after they actually know about it and have had a genuine chance to engage with it. Don't give up just because no one noticed yet. It's a powerful call for persistent effort and visibility before making premature assumptions about market demand. You have to earn the right to know if it works.
And this initial indifference often means that the entrepreneurial journey, particularly in its nascent stages, can be a profoundly lonely one. It's definitely not the glamorous image we sometimes see portrayed online.
Yes. The article starkly notes that, in reality, it's usually lonely and quiet, and you have to figure out how to keep yourself going to build something meaningful. This powerfully reinforces the need for that deep-seated persistence and strong internal motivation we talked about earlier, because there is almost never such a thing as overnight success. It's largely a myth.
The myth of overnight success.
Exactly. The illusion of quick wins is pervasive, fueled by curated highlight reels on social media. But the reality for most is a long, often isolated grind, where your own belief and your own discipline become your most reliable companions, especially in the beginning. It's the stark difference between perception and reality.
This brings us back in a way to the idea of the self-made narrative versus something much more nuanced, something that accounts for hidden advantages, luck, external factors.
Right. Many accounts from successful entrepreneurs tend to frame their success as purely the outcome of their own individual effort and grit. The "I did it all myself" story, often glossing over attending elite schools, having connections, or receiving large amounts of funding from family or early investors, which obviously helps.
Convenient omissions.
Sometimes. Michael Sandel, in his influential work, The Tyranny of Merit, calls this phenomenon meritocratic hubris, which he defines as the smug conviction of those who land on top that they deserve their fate and that those on the bottom deserve theirs too. It serves as a potent reminder for all of us, especially those embarking on an entrepreneurial journey, to acknowledge the significant, often unquantified role of luck and good fortune alongside hard work in any success story. It's rarely just one thing. It's rarely a pure meritocracy, external circumstances, opportunities, privileges. They play a much larger role than often acknowledged publicly, and acknowledging that fosters both humility and, I think, empathy for others on different paths.
The article also touches on a deeper, almost philosophical question about entrepreneurial motivation. Is it primarily about minimizing future regrets, not wanting to look back and wish you'd tried? Or is it a more active pursuit of happiness? Which one truly sustains you through the tough times?
Yeah, that's a fascinating debate. Some commenters on that Hacker News article found the proclamation of minimize future regrets to be a bit, hollow, or at least insufficient as a primary driving force. They suggested it might be a necessary precondition for action, something that pushes you off the starting block, maybe overcomes inertia.
The initial push.
Exactly, but it doesn't inherently equate to happiness or a truly meaningful life once you're in the thick of it. While regret minimization can certainly drive action and prevent stagnation, and it can be a powerful short-term motivator, it doesn't necessarily fill that kind of existential void that building a facade of success might create, as we discussed earlier. It might just be avoiding pain, not seeking joy. It's a challenging internal debate for every entrepreneur, I think. What truly drives you and, maybe more importantly, what sustains you through the inevitable ups and downs, especially when that initial external validation is completely non-existent. Is it simply avoiding future pain? or is it actively seeking profound fulfillment and purpose in the work itself? The answer likely varies hugely from person to person, but the question itself is a vital one for long-term sustainability and well-being.
Wow. We've really journeyed quite a distance today. From the vital internal mindset and the art of the hustle, through actionable strategies for growth, and deep into the often hidden realities of achievement and that stark truth of initial indifference. It's a complex landscape full of challenges, but also clearly immense potential.
Absolutely. What stands out and what we hope stands out for you listening is that entrepreneurship is a deeply personal odyssey. It's marked by this intricate, dynamic dance between bold vision, relentless experimentation, precise strategic execution, and profound self-awareness. All pieces need to work together. It's about recognizing that failure isn't an ending, but invaluable feedback, data, and that true, lasting success isn't just given overnight. It's painstakingly built through consistent, deliberate, and often quite isolated effort over a long period of time.
It's about working smart, putting people, your customers and your team at the very core of your venture, not just seeing them as resources, adapting relentlessly to change because change is the only constant, and even embracing the bizarre and the unpopular when the data, or maybe even your deep intuition, points you in that unconventional direction. It's not just about doing more, is it? It's about doing better, and always with a clear sense of purpose.
Well said. And to truly make your entrepreneurial goals a reality, maybe consider this provocative thought as you move forward from our conversation today. In a world of accelerating change and just overwhelming information, how might you intentionally build more failure into your process, more experiments, more quick tests, more willingness to be wrong, not just to learn passively, but to truly accelerate your learning and deliberately outpace the competition? What would that look like for you, perhaps starting this week? Something to think about.